Hi, Dave Smith with Police One TV, and I want to talk to you for just a minute about the most dangerous activity in law enforcement, and literally that's anything that has to do with your motor vehicle. I want you, when you leave briefing, I want you to sit down with your whole squad and talk about your departmental issues and policies and refresh yourself in those critical issues you were taught in the academy that have been detrained from you when you're out there doing routine traffic stops. The simple truth is every time we make a traffic stop and someone doesn't try to kick our butt or we don't get involved in an accident, our sense of risk is actually reduced. So we start taking more chances. That's called our risk thermostat. So I want you to refresh yourself in all those things you were taught in the academy. First off, anytime we're operating our vehicle, we have to have an awareness of what's going on around us. In this day and age, we have more things going on inside that cockpit than ever before to distract us. But you've got to attend to that vehicle. Make sure dispatch knows exactly where that stop's going to be and run that plate. Observe that vehicle. Remember the rule of +1? Too often we're reading officers injured or killed summaries and we find the officers have made an assumption that what they see is what they get. I see one subject in that vehicle, I'm looking for the second subject. It's the same concept as when I'm searching somebody. I'm expecting to find that weapon, that first weapon, and when I find it, I'm looking for the second. The rule of +1 should pertain literally to everything you do in your patrol activities. Now, I want to decide how I want to make an approach in a motor vehicle stop. And again, I've got a great advantage nowadays that we have these very, very high-tech light systems. So let's use the lights to our advantage to blind anybody who might be in that vehicle, may want to do an assault on us. And again, remember, we want to beat them out of the vehicle. Use your PA to your advantage, all those things that we talk about. Now, a lot of agencies, for some reason, we end up always making driver's side approaches. One of the surest ways to get hurt in life is A, to assume that people are predictable, or B, make yourself predictable to others. Let's break up our routine. So let's, from time to time, if you're not currently doing that, practice passenger side approaches. Now, how do you want to do that safely? Because remember, now accidental deaths exceed deaths by assault, and the greatest type of liability you're going to find when you break those stats down is you getting killed right out here in the street, or as you're leaving or getting in this vehicle or getting this vehicle back in the flow of traffic. So let's pay real good attention to what's happening, what's going on traffic-wise around us. Let's don't go between the vehicles. A lot of officers and a lot of trainers, I have to admit I agree with, say come around behind. You're using your light to your advantage, come around behind your vehicle. When you're out there on patrol all alone, you can open and close that passenger side door and then actually have a conversation with somebody who isn't there. They can't see if you got your takedown lights on, you got your lights on properly. But again, don't answer, that's a little strange. Now when we go up and we make our approach, a lot of officers are going to go up, make that contact, have you given yourself a walkway if you're going to do a driver's side approach. That's critical as well. Now this one's exaggerated so you can see both the vehicles in it, but it's not so exaggerated that you aren't aware of the fact that I have to be able to safely travel to that vehicle and travel back to my vehicle and maintain my awareness. Again, the awarenesses are at multiple levels. I have a threat coming from this direction on a 2-lane highway. I got that vehicle as a threat to me. I have other threats coming from that direction in the form of perhaps intoxicated drivers who kill a good number of us every year. So I'm trying to attend to, which is almost impossible for a human being to attend to all the potential risks, but I definitely at least want to make sure I'm attending to those that liability and reality tells us are true risk, meaning those people in that vehicle and the vehicles coming from this direction. Now I go up, I make my approach, make my contact, or I may make a passenger side approach. Very often what we're finding now, because of the nature of our electronics, we're coming back and getting back in this driver's seat. Think about that. Now you've just put yourself, you've got to come back, travel into a traffic lane, and now you're going to sit down and you're going to attend to that computer. Now, I got to tell you, back in the 90s, we actually came up, there were manufacturers that came up with all kinds of products where you would put the driver's license up on the dash or attach it to the dash so you would never lose your visual control of the subjects in that vehicle while you were writing your citation book. Now we're getting back in our vehicles and attending to a computer. So this is more important than ever. Until we get these heads-up displays that we need in law enforcement, you've got to go out of your way to try to make sure you're attending to and pay attention to exactly what's happening with the people that are in that vehicle. That's our threat to us. And just because you've had a safe contact, don't believe they're predictable that in your recontact there's not going to be assault or some other problem that comes up. Now another thing that gets us hurt is when something breaks up our pattern or what we might call our routine of behavior. Again, one of the things we've learned ever since from day one in the academy, don't fall into routines, yet we do. So one of the things that'll happen, you'll make a contact, there'll be an initial problem, a confrontation, or some issue, And then we become focused on them. This is a very high liability moment for us because we're beginning to attend to a narrow focus. And that's appropriate for us to respond to a potential threat. But at the same time, we still have threats we need to attend to. Remember, we've talked about already. So let's retain our focus. Step back sometimes. It's okay to disengage if things are getting out of hand. Make sure we've got backup en route. If we feel the least bit, that tickle in the back of your neck, wherever you feel your tickle, that's important you listen to it. Remember the book, The Gift of Fear, and there's so many other studies that tell us that if you sense a problem, sense trouble in any way, react to it, compensate for it. I have talked to so many survivors who will tell me over and over again, you know, when I got out of my vehicle, I made contact with subjects, things didn't feel right. They can't articulate what it was, it just didn't feel right. So trust your feelings, especially in a traffic stop, which we know is that high liability contact. Now let's say whether I've done my passenger side approach or my driver's side approach, I've made whatever enforcement action, I've got a signature safely, they're promised to appear, and they are leaving. I make sure I get them back in the flow of traffic, and I'm attending to all the traffic as I go back into the flow of traffic. And let's don't hang around here. If you want to go out and do your court copy reports, go to a safe location and finish your court copy on the back of your citation for court. Because remember, we also want to win that court case. Now, this is all common sense, you're saying. Yeah, you know what, it is. So I want you in the next couple shifts you're on to attend to each other and ask each other, have I gotten into bad habits? Because the thing with habits are they're invisible to the person who has them. So ask your sergeant, ask your fellow officers, do you see anything? Am I setting myself up? And be willing to take honest feedback. That's the important thing, because you know what, at the end of the day, I want you to go home safe, whatever your shift time is, night or day. Remember, we have seasons, both hot and cold, all over this country that add risk and liability to your patrol. Regardless of day or time, officers are getting killed by accidental death and assaults. So it's important that you never let your guard down. Don't fall into routine. And remember, nothing's predictable. Expect the unexpected. Stay safe. I'm Dave Smith.